Thank you very much. Today we have Trisha Estarbrooks. Is that right?
That's right. Very good.
Yes.
Totally.
And this is the first time we're having a school board trustee. So it's exciting.
It is exciting.
So Trisha is running for Ward D, which of course happens to be the area close to our office.
It is.
So as always, we want to know why you're doing this. So introduce yourself to our audience and let's go.
And tell a little bit about myself. So yeah, my name's Trisha Estarbrooks. I'm running for Edmonton Public School Board Trustee in Ward D. And first of all, I want to say thanks to you for taking the time and having the interest you guys have in the school board election race. So a little bit about me. I've been a journalist for 17 years, most of that time with CBC Radio, CBC TV, working across the country, starting in Charlottetown and then moving to Canada's Arctic, where I had many story meetings in Inuktitut. Then I moved to Whitehorse, and then I spent a year working as a journalist in West Africa, mostly in Ghana. Okay. And then I got pregnant with my husband, and we moved back to Canada, and we settled here in our city in Edmonton, and I got a job with CBC Edmonton. So I've been with CBC Radio Edmonton for 10 years, and that was, you know, as a public broadcaster, you really know what it means to serve the public as a journalist. And so in many ways, the next step of serving the public as a school board trustee is a natural step for me. Some other quick things about me. I'm a mom. I've got 2 kids. My daughter's 9, my son's 5. He just started school this September. And I've always been a volunteer in my kids' school, on their parent council and organizing fundraisers. I've organized and worked with literacy organizations in our city and the Edmonton Humane Society. So those are some of the things that I've done since I've moved to our city, and some of the ways that I've given back. But I do see school board trustee as a way to give back even to our community and to our city, and of course to our city schools that fall underneath Edmonton Public.
So why are you doing this? You have a very busy schedule. Show a good job.
Yeah. Totally.
International experiences.
Yeah.
Why are you doing school board?
Yeah. That's probably the question I get asked the most from in interviews and just like regular people that I meet on the doorstep is like, why are you doing this? What are you doing? And the quick answer is that people from my community, people from my neighborhood, people from all sorts of different backgrounds asked me to do it. Okay. They approached me probably 6-7 months ago, knowing that the current trustee, Ray Martin, wasn't going to seek re-election, and said, you know, we need a strong advocate for public education. We believe that you can be that strong voice. And so when people that you admire and respect, and when close friends and neighbors and parents themselves, when they ask me that question, it's a question that I took quite seriously. So knowing that if I said yes, that I was going to immerse myself completely and do the best job that I could to first get elected, and then if I am elected, to do the best job in serving the families and the voters of Ward D.
So what are these people encouraging you? What are they telling you to do? Or what are they telling you the problems that they're having, and what are ideas helping them?
Yeah, so I've been knocking on doors since May. I'm a little obsessed with door knocking because I think it's the only way you hear what people really think. Like, social media is just noise in the background, in my opinion. Twitter, Facebook, it's just noise. It's people drinking each other's bathwater, if you know that expression. So the only way you truly know what people think about the issues is if you go and you knock on their door and you're invited into the living room and you have a nice chat. Most of the time that's what happens, sometimes not. So some of the issues that I've heard about is a lot of parents and families that I speak with want to make sure that they have a strong local community school. So like in Edmonton Public, there's so much choice. You know, your kid can go play hockey for half the day, your kid can learn Mandarin or Ukrainian languages, but lots of parents I talk to want to make sure that their kid, especially in elementary school, has a strong local community school, that's well-resourced, the classes aren't crowded, the teachers are experienced. That's what families want. The other thing is inclusive education. So there's lots of talk about what does inclusion in the classroom mean. So these are kids with special needs, these are kids with disabilities, these are kids, like many of them, you know, they're learning English for the first time. That English isn't their mother tongue that they learn at home. These are kids, also vulnerable students in our schools, kids that, you know, I know one school in Ward D, I talked to the principal there, like 3/4 of those kids, 75% of those kids are coming to school and they haven't had breakfast. So those are huge issues that are in our Edmonton public schools. The other thing is GSAs. Lots of people, Gay Straight Alliances, lots of voters want clear answers on where their trustees stand around Gay Straight Alliances. And for the record, absolutely, like it's just such an obvious thing that needs to happen in many schools. Our LGBTQ kids, they need the support. And you know, they shouldn't have to ask permission to join these clubs. Like they shouldn't have to ask permission to join a safe space. If they want to get together and talk about their sexual orientation or gender identity, like let them have it, let them do it. Like give them the classroom to share their views, give them the permission to feel safe. So, I mean, there's lots of other issues that I hear about, but I'd say those are the main ones. Those
Do you have
are the
some
hot
ideas
ones.
around those issues?
Well, number one, on the GSA stuff, I think school board trustees need to advocate to the education minister to make sure that the School Act is changed so that it's in legislation that no child has to ask permission from their parents to join a GSA. Kids don't have to ask permission to join the basketball club. Why should they have to ask permission to join a GSA? So that's one thing. Inclusion in the classroom, it's a big issue, you know, and I don't have all the answers around that. I do know that we need to have the proper supports in place so that teachers who are teaching kids who have a classroom full of kids who have learning disabilities, or a child perhaps who has autism, or again, like the kid who's recently arrived from Syria, for example, and doesn't speak any English. Like, so how does a teacher, one classroom teacher, help and teach all those kids? Like there's all these competing demands. How do we make sure that those teachers are well supported in their classroom? One of the answers is educational assistants. Are there enough educational assistants in our classrooms? Are they experienced enough? Do they have enough training? So those are some of the questions that I think need to be asked if we are to get, to figure some of it out, to figure out the answers to that.
So any other thing you want to add?
Oh, how much time do you have? I'm joking. You know, one of the things I find is people don't know what a school board trustee does. And it sort of is the forgotten race in many ways. And it doesn't get the prominence that the city council race gets. And there's some reasons for that. You know, it's not as high profile a job. But in my mind, it is, and maybe I'm a little biased, but it's a super important job. Like this is our kids' education. This is our future society. This is $1 billion of our tax money goes into Edmonton public schools. So when people ask me on the doorstep or just in conversation, like, what does a trustee do? Why should I care? Like my answer is that, but then my answer also is, you know, trustees set the policy and the direction for Edmonton public schools. Trustees are there as your advocate. Trustees are they're the bridge between the families and the parents and the students who attend Edmonton public schools and the people who make the decisions. And ultimately, trustees are there to be a strong advocate for public education. The idea that every child, no matter their background or where they're from or anything, has equal access to a great education in this city. And we must elect public school board trustees who believe in that, who feel that passionately, which I do. I totally do, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For all the videos on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, watch the videos on YouTube, and of course, stay tuned for more videos on Edmonton Election Special.